Welcome back to Valley News Now. Adam Shalafu joined by Devin Fry in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. And Devin, I can see some elevation. You're at altitude, and what a sight behind you there.
Yeah, no, it's I tell you what, seeing mountains around here has done my little Alaskan heart a ton of good. So that's been nice. But no, this is a truly beautiful area. I was looking around campus trying to find places to set up for my live shots at 4, 5, and 6, and man, there's not really a bad spot. I think I'm gonna. I think I kind of settled on the Ralphie statue down here. I think I'm gonna go in front of that for one of them at least. So there's all kinds of fun stuff to look around on this campus. It's a busy campus, by the way. It made me realize that my small school education was definitely the right move with 30,000 people walking around me at any given time.
Yeah, it's definitely a big school feel, and the energy, even when the Buffaloes have been bad, which is not that far into the past, frankly. Just a
No.
4-win team last year, but even when the Buffs aren't good, they pack the stands. It's a raucous atmosphere, and it's a ton of fun to just kind of be in that black hole, accented by the gold, of course, that you'll be witnessing. But what we're talking about is how much green and yellow are we going to see? And Devin, let's start right there. You're in Buffalo country, but how many bison have you seen?
It's been kind of thin a little bit because we still got a little bit before game time. I heard that Fargo Hector was really busy this afternoon, and so I imagine a lot of Bison fans are making the trip down today, and so we're excited. I'm excited to see how many there are. But even if it is thin, I still ran into some fans at the breakfast spot I went to. I've seen some by the hotel, so I mean they're definitely starting to show up a little bit here. I imagine it's going to pick up a lot more towards game time. As you are well aware, Adam, North Dakota State travels very well, especially from our key matchups like this. So I fully expect that we'll get more of a crowd, but I'm very excited to see the stadium full. I've got a chance to look at the bleachers a little bit. We haven't been able to go into the stadium as much as I would like, but I'm excited to go in there when it's jam packed to the gills with fans and see what the environment's like. I've been to a lot of matchups covering this team. Of course the national championship games down in Frisco, but the ones that really stick with you are in Brookings in a packed stadium for the Dakota Marker matchup, in Montana for the playoff game last year with a bunch of Grizz fans yelling and screaming. So these enemy environments tend to have the best atmospheres, and I'm really excited to see what it's like at full capacity tomorrow.
And Devin, I know this is one you've been really looking into for a long time, a date you have had very much scheduled on your calendar for I don't know even how long. But now getting up and close in personal and delivering that information back to our viewers back at home. Don't give everything away, but what can the viewers watching our shows expect? What kind of information are you going to be able to provide later tonight?
Well, one thing about me, Adam, when it comes to work trips, I'm always going to over deliver, and so we got a bunch of good angles on this matchup coming up tonight. We've been able to talk to a selection of Bison football players about this matchup. We focused a little bit on the defensive side of the ball and stopping the I guess stopping is that might be too tough of a task, but containing quarterback Shador Sanders, who Tim Polasek called the best player that NDSU has ever faced. We talked to Polasek a little bit about the altitude, which I'm experiencing right now. I get it now. The air is thin. And then in the trenches as well, talking, I always bring things back to the offensive line one way or another. I find a way. And it's a really important factor in this matchup. So coming up at 4, actually, we get to hear from Jake Rock kind of about how the offensive line came together with some new faces starting games this year, and starting with arguably the biggest matchup we've seen in quite some time.
Now, Devin, you mentioned the offensive line, and we've talked about it before. The offensive line is going to be a crucial element of this matchup. We just got done talking with Jake Shapiro, who is a beat writer for the Buffs, radio personality down there or in Denver. He said that the offensive line looks a lot better. It sounds like there's a lot of new faces on that line, but it sounds like there's really a lot of new faces on both sides of the matchup.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit about some of those new faces and the ones you're kind of keeping an eye out for.
Well, when you talk about the new faces on Colorado, yeah, their offensive line looks revamped. They've brought in some big time players, but we haven't seen how they perform on paper or on the field in this offense yet. So that's going to be the biggest factors. Like, yeah, the games aren't played on paper. So we'll see what happens when the game actually happens. But no, for North Dakota State as well, with the offensive line, it's been kind of consistent over the last few years. And of course, they've been an NFL factory. But now it's Gray Zabel and Mason Miller at the tackle spots, and then 3 new starters from last season in there, and they get a big test right away going up against a Big 12 defensive line. And so no matter what athletes Colorado brings in, and we know they lost 48 in the transfer portal and brought in 42. So it's essentially a brand new roster, plus Shedeur Sanders, plus Travis Hunter. So that's going to be a lot to prepare for anyway. But then, it's all going to come down to how much those guys, those new faces, have been able to get together in this offseason period. And if there's one thing Deion Sanders is going to be able to do, it's get guys together and motivate them quickly. That's part of the reason why he has this job. So I'm curious to see how Colorado's new faces gel together. And I'm curious with the North Dakota State new faces on the offensive line, including Jake Brock, who finally has his opportunity to start at guard this year, how he works in this system, how the offensive line works together for really the first time in a big test like this. So a lot of new fun things to watch out for in this matchup, not just the fact that it's NDSU against Colorado, which that would be enough by itself.
Well, Devin, I want to ask you, as a former college football offensive lineman, how important is that chemistry? Is it just something where 5 guys do their job well and you're going to be okay? Or do you think it is a potential disadvantage for Colorado that maybe these guys don't have the kind of chemistry required to be an elite offensive line?
I mean, I think both factors are important. The caliber of the player makes up for obviously most of the success. That's how sports in general will work. And that's why, at some of the younger levels, you see just the most dominant player be able to do the most. And then when he gets to college and he has to actually gel with a team, it kind of starts to fall apart. When it comes to an offensive line, you have to be able to communicate without talking. You have to know what the person next to you is doing at any given time. You have to know exactly what your assignment is and what everybody else's assignment is on there. And so it is, of course, a disadvantage that they haven't had that time to work together as much. But at the same time, they're also probably the caliber of athletes who make up for a lot of that. So I think both factors are important, but that chemistry factor missing could be a big X factor for North Dakota State to take advantage of, is that these guys on the Colorado side haven't played together yet. And so we'll see what happens.
Now, Devin, how is the defense preparing for Shedeur Sanders, Hunter on the outside, and the bevy of weapons that will be at Colorado's disposal?
Yeah, the scary part with Hunter is we don't know if he's going to be which side of the ball he's going to be on. He's equally dangerous at both. But when it comes to stopping the weapons that they have on offense, the receivers that they brought in the transfer portal are more impressive than the offensive line transfers they brought in. The receiver transfers that Colorado has coming into this year, they could be a starting receiver at any university they choose to come to. They chose to come play for Deion Sanders, which again is why he has that job. But for the Bison defense, the key is just going to be playing fundamentally sound and playing the Bison way, which is tackling, filling gaps, making sure that every assignment is taken care of. Because that is when you play pitch perfect defense against good athletes like this, that'll stop it. That's going to be the biggest factor towards stopping those kind of weapons, is if you have this gap filled or if you have this assignment covered. They can't afford to make a single mental mistake in this game. And so Code Green has told us, leading up to this game, that's their focus, turning things on fundamentally, making sure that they're playing their game, playing their way. That's what they're going to have to do. So we'll, again, the weapons, and Paul Seg even said it best at his press conference, they're going to get beat on some plays. It's also going to be about how North Dakota State's defense resets and reloads after they do get beat on those plays from the incredible athletes that Colorado has on their side of the ball.
And Devin, I know it's an ongoing situation when you're getting closer and closer to kickoff. More ideas come into your head. You might think of a different wrinkle. But right now, and I'm going to ask you the same thing tomorrow, my friend, but right now, what are your thoughts on the matchup?
I think currently Colorado is approaching double-digit favorites. And I feel like that's too much of a spread. I do feel like it's going to be a good game one way or another. And we've talked about this. We could see this game going any bevy of ways. There's about 10 different ways that this way can go, and none of them would be surprising to me. But I truly think it's going to be a close matchup on either side, whichever one comes out on top. This has all the makings of a 4-point game for me. And so I really think that it's going to be close. It's going to be tight, just because of how fundamentally sound North Dakota State is looking to be ahead of this game, and the weapons that Colorado has. I feel like those things balance each other out very well. It all comes down to doing assignments. I really think that this game will be closer, certainly closer than a double-digit spread.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, and go back and listen to the two great analysis from here in Colorado. Devin, thank you so much. Viewers, once again, check out our interview with Jake Shapiro. Get the Colorado side, get the Bison side, and enjoy it. We got Bison v. Buffalo. And Devin, I don't know if you about this, but tomorrow I'm talking with a zoologist, all right? We're talking about what is the difference between a bison and a buffalo, because it's got me wondering too. So a lot more action to come on the matchup.
Well, Ralphie, Colorado's mascot, is actually a bison. So I mean, really, it's a battle of bisons.
I did not know
the
that.
winner? Yeah, no. So, I mean, fun fact. Colorado actually tweeted that yesterday, or put it on X, whatever the hell you call it. And NDSU said, shout out to Ralphie. So there is still at least some respect in the mascot game between these two schools.
I love that. What a fun wrinkle that is. Devin, thank you so much. I know you're coming up with some live shots in the 4:00 show.
Yes, sir.
Have a great time down there and enjoy the game. And it looks like you're having some great views as well. For now, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. And that's all for now on Valley News Now. We'll see you next time.